Arizona, homeowner's best friend.
All right, so let's get started. Let's bring it to the backyard with a raised bed. Start simple.
Start simple. That's as hyper local as you can get. 4 steps to the healthiest garden you can ever have is the 4 steps it takes you. One, left foot, left foot, to your garden. So if it only takes you 4 steps to get there, that's the best option. And raised bed gardening is one of the simplest, fastest, and probably most reliable way to grow here in Arizona because your contingencies relative to soil conditions are kind of thrown out. Sun conditions, you can then put them in the right, microclimate in your yard a lot easier. You can lift the garden so you're not having to bend your back and break your back just to get down to the ground. Raised beds are awesome. A lot of people use them, and a lot of people that aren't using them wish they did or wish they are. So let's talk about that.
And you can easily expand off of it. That's the nice thing I like is, when you're doing, let's say you've designated a spot in your yard to do a 10 by 10. Well, that's a lot of material and soil and tilling and prep. Where this, you could say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start with 20 square feet.
Yeah.
And do herbs. And then from there, put another one in, and I'm going to do another 20 square foot this time and put in, my leafies.
Yeah, and in all reality, a raised bed that's easier to maintain, you're not doing big row gardens now. It's like you're not creating a lot of space for weeds to grow because that's kind of traditional method versus more hyper-local or hyperized method.
And gophers and rabbits to come.
Right. It's like all the issues. I mean, there's so many issues when you're starting a new garden, that you can basically eliminate by simply doing a raised bed garden. Now, there can be an increase in expense, and so we're going to try to help you today to solve that challenge of expense, as well as try to eliminate the likelihood you'll have a $64 tomato.
Do you have a minimum height for a raised bed garden?
No, and we can kind of dive into that a little bit more. It's like 4 inches would be probably the minimum height that I would consider a raised bed garden because that's sufficient increase in soil mass that you've now mitigated, and now you're starting to do raised bed gardening. And then as high as you really want to go. I mean, 35 inches is great height, counter height.
I would stand up.
Yeah.
Put your hands at your side and bring your forearm straight up, bend at the elbows, and wherever your hands stop right there, that's how high your raised bed should be.
There you go. That's your counter. You don't have to bend over anything. And if you want it more of a seated garden, well, we'll talk about the height for that.
Rosie on the house, every Arizona homeowner's best friend.